There we go. Now I see I'm on stage. Sorry for the folks that are in the meeting here or in the webinar. Welcome everyone. We're going to give it a couple minutes for folks to join in and then we'll get going. In the meantime, if you are in the webinar and want to say hello and drop where you're dialing in from in the chat, feel free to do that and we'll get going in 2 or 3 minutes here. Looks like we have some familiar names from some current Coalesce customers. So thanks for joining in here, folks. Devin from the most northeast part of the country, Portland, Maine. I guess I should put where I'm calling in from. I'll join in the chat here. Stephen, you're in a pretty exotic location. You can put where you're coming in from too.
Perfect.
Hey, Trivictum. Thanks for coming in from India. Seems late.
Scottish Highlands.
DFW. All right, we got some more Texas folks. We'll give it 1 more minute and then we'll get started here. All right. I think we have quorum, so we can dive in here. First of all, thank you all for attending today on a Thursday, wherever you're coming in from, as we can see in the chat here. We'll do some quick intros in just a second here. What we're all here today to talk about is Coalesce Quality. So that's going to be the focus of the conversation for the next 26 or 7 minutes here. Just quick housekeeping, if you do have questions along the way, feel free to use the chat. There's also a Q&A function, but put it in one of those 2 places. We'll keep an eye on it and address questions as they come in or whenever is natural in the flow of things. If anyone wants to go deeper, we're always happy to spend more time with you. So just let us know, pepper us with questions along the way. Intro-wise, I'm Austin. I lead our solution engineering team here at Coalesce. So I really am at the cross-section of the products and our customers and how folks get the most value out of it. So I've had the pleasure of working with Stephen for the past few months as we've brought Sync, which is now Coalesce Quality, into the fold here. Stephen, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, great to meet you all. Stephen Murphy, Field CTO, initially at Sync for the last 2 years in data quality and observability. Now at Coalesce Quality, very happy to be on board. I've been in technology and software for 15 years, including running my own business, as well as at larger software companies. So great to meet you all. Looking forward to showing you some of the product today, but obviously can go in a deeper dive in subsequent sessions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have more programming related to Coalesce Quality as we go along here. So in terms of agenda, I'm going to share out just 3 or 4 slides real quick to set the stage. So we'll spend just a couple minutes there. We'll go into the product and Stephen will do an actual demo of what Coalesce Quality is all about. And then we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. And as we've said, we're happy to go deeper. So ask the questions and we'll see where it takes us. I'm going to share my screen out here. And we can get rolling. So you all should be seeing my screen here now. And the way that we're going to frame this up is what Coalesce looked like a couple months ago and what it looks like now. And what we see here is that this is Coalesce as of a month or two ago. We've always been a very transform-centric product of how do we help data engineers be as efficient as possible in delivering data products to their consumers. A consumer could be a user that's just querying a table. It could be a dashboard builder. It could be anything like that where someone's actually using data that's been cleansed and transformed and aggregated and all that. Transform has always been our bread and butter. About a year ago, we added Coalesce Catalog to the fold. And Coalesce Catalog was really focused on how do we help people find the data that's been built? How do we make it as discoverable as possible? How do we make it really, really easy for people to figure out what exists in my environment and should I trust it? Catalog's been really great for us. We've had a ton of positive feedback from our customers. It's really strong at that human element of things, documenting things, adding descriptions, defining metrics, adding certifications, but it's really a human-driven thing where we're saying, yes, we built this data and you should trust it. What we've always lacked is data-driven validation, and that's what we're adding to the fold with Coalesce Quality. We have Transform, we have Catalog that gives the human stamp for approval. What we were lacking was, hey, yes, I'm saying this is good data, and the data proves it. By that, I mean, the data says this thing is fresh, it's accurate, all of our metrics are defined correctly, and we have data to prove it. That's what Quality is introducing to the fold. There's a ton of feature by feature things that Quality composes of, and it's not just Quality, it's full on observability. I'm not going to go into that. What's arguably more important is this whole framework that we're introducing with Coalesce Quality. What you see here across the bottom is kind of the Gen 1 or V1 of a lot of quality and observability tools, where the focus was, let's give you lineage, let's give you a bunch of tests, let's layer on some anomaly detection on top of that, and then it's up to you to do whatever you want with it. And the result of that we've heard from a lot of customers is the number one thing, most common thing, is alert fatigue. We say, hey, let's just throw this thing at a giant Snowflake or Databricks or BigQuery environment and see what happens. Next thing you know it, you're getting 500 alerts every day. You tune it out, and it becomes really, really hard to derive value from it. And it takes a lot of work to manage this. You get alert fatigue. Doesn't help you actually figure out what caused an issue. And so this framework that we're introducing is what we see here on the screen, this data product observability V2. And it's really about defining data products and using that to drive the entire strategy, the whole workflow, the whole framework. So start with that, defining your data product, associate owners. Of course, you have tests and monitors and data quality checks as a part of that. But what happens after that is arguably even more important. How do we have an entire incident management workflow? How do we have automated root cause analysis? How do we actually fix the problems? That's part of this whole framework here. So as Steven goes through the demo, you'll see him walk through the product in the lens of this type of framework here. And we're really, really passionate about, it's not just a product, it's not just a set of features, it is an entire framework or workflow that we have an opinion about how customers should be doing it. Speaking of opinions, on last slide, this is the question that a lot of teams are facing. It's coming from boards, it's coming from executive suites, it's coming from data leaders who might not be as connected to what's actually going on the street. And the question is often, why can't my team just use AI? Now that can mean a lot of things. What it means a lot of times is, why can't we just use Cloud Code, or why can't we just use Codex, or why can't we just use Cortex Code? And we are using AI. There's AI baked throughout the entire product here. So one part of the answer is we are using AI. The other part is, in that sense of using Cloud Code or Codex or whatever, that's really, really good for single player mode, accelerating code generation. That's not what we're solving here. We're solving an entire framework, this workflow that I'm talking about. How do we get an entire enterprise, an entire team of people rowing in the right direction? AI is not solving that. AI is accelerating little pieces within each of that, but you need an entire product, an entire workflow on top of that. And the onus shouldn't be on you as the customer to go figure out that workflow. We are passionate data practitioners that are defining that for you, so you don't have to go reinvent the wheel. Of course, we're layering on AI on top of it to help accelerate that whole process. But the question is not, why can't my team just use AI? It's, yes, of course we're going to use AI, but it has to fit within the confines of a team working together and collaborating. That's all I got slide-wise. I'm going to stop sharing here, pass it to Steven, and we can show everyone the product.
Perfect. I shall spend the next 15 minutes or so presenting the product capabilities and bringing to life the core concepts in the workflow that Austin just presented. So just to set the scene, this is Quality, Coalesce Quality. This is SaaS, predominantly based on Google Cloud. We've actually built an entire data platform based on the New York City taxi data set, just for context. It's publicly accessible, and you can just pull in some Parquet files with all of the monthly data. So it's very reliable, and you can actually leverage this and build this exact same demo if you wanted to. So in keeping with the product workflow, I'll start with data products. And within Quality, this is the status page. So just to clarify, a data product is essentially a logical grouping of assets across systems that map to a particular use case that the business actually cares about. So there's no right or wrong answer. It could be a single Tableau dashboard. It could be your ingestion pipeline. It could be a revenue metric, operational workflow, data science, machine learning model. But the value proposition here for a data practitioner is I'm logging in the morning, and I can very quickly and easily see what is the status of my business critical data use cases. So we can see here, for example, there are no issues associated with the data products within my revenue domain. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. What's really easy here is the building of a data product and the anchoring of a data product. But the core complexity is building trust in the organization. So in addition to just showing the status of my data product, I also present within Quality the status of the upstream pipeline that's feeding my data product. So we don't just test assets in isolation. We essentially take a horizontal slice of the data stack and present the quality of that particular pipeline, so the overall reliability. And as a practitioner, I can see, related to revenue, before the CFO makes a key business decision, I need to probably resolve some of these 12 issues in order to build 100% trust in this particular domain. So I'll spend my afternoon focusing on these issues. But again, without this visibility and understanding at the data product level about what the business really cares about, I wouldn't really know how to focus my time this afternoon. So that's really compelling from a data practitioner standpoint. So I just take a look at one of these data products in question, and I built a data product just around some of my core nodes within Coalesce Transform. So I've got my star schema, and I wanted to aggregate some staging nodes and also a fact node as well. We can actually see these nodes that I've joined together, and this is my use case that I'm looking to monitor, and it's P1, it's business critical. What's really clever here is, even though I've just grouped together the 4 nodes, we automatically resolve lineage through our SQL parser so that I can see other related identities as well. So I can see the catalog table and also the materialized table and view in Snowflake as well, without having to select them. So that's our automatic resolution that we do, and it saves a huge amount of time when configuring data products. This is P1 versus anything that's P2 or exploratory. Data engineering is the owner, so there's important to have accountability. So as and when there are technical issues, who's going to be alerted? How are they going to be alerted? Is it Slack, Teams, the thresholding, and so forth? We can build a data mesh architecture within observability. So we have data products, which domain is it in, which subdomain is it in, which team should have access, so we can configure this within our domain settings, and this is the core domain for now. Every data product as well has a quality score that's automatically calculated. And what this drives is a sense of overall reliability as it relates to the use case in question. So 85% here is not bad. It's something I'm working on, but what 85% actually means is that 15% of tests and monitors have failed on or upstream of my data product over the last week. So again, as a data practitioner, I can very quickly isolate where I should focus my time in order to get this to 95% and above, depending on the SLIs that we have in place. We have broader analytics, which I won't go into today in too much detail, but this is how we can slice and dice all the metadata metrics that we've collated by governance metric, by any filter, and this is the reporting layer that we expose to all of our customers. And then finally, we have lineage, and we do lineage to 4 layers. Again, probably one for another session, longer session. But what we're seeing here is a business abstraction layer at the data product level. So in respect of my use case, I can see what's upstream, what's downstream. It's a lot easier to consume than table level lineage. And business users can also consume and understand the relationship between use cases. So we do lineage to data product level, table level, column level, and we found that column level wasn't enough to get to the root cause sufficiently fast enough. So we also go to code level, which enables you to understand and trace through code how a column is actually derived. And that saves 50, 60% of time versus just relying on column level lineage. So that's data products, and this is inherent within the entire platform itself, and I'll bring that to life as we step through. But as a next step, let's say we want to start to build out our testing strategy. So I'll go to one of my fact tables here. So for any given asset within quality, we aggregate all of the metadata that we've collected across all the different systems. So what that means is I've natively collected catalog, Coalesce catalog, so I can bring in all of my ownership definitions, any tags and annotations that we have in catalog, and leverage those in quality. Same for Coalesce, I can bring in all of the tests that I've already deployed in the pipeline, or materialization test types, and so forth, bring those in and start leveraging those in filters. Snowflake as well, bring in DDL, query logs, any tags, so we can leverage those in unison rather than isolated across systems. We can understand lineage, description, schema, but most importantly from a quality standpoint is that we can understand the state of all the tests and monitors that we've deployed in quality, as well as those that we deployed in transform as well. So this is a single pane of glass view into your overall testing strategy. But the key task here is to extend upon this and augment it with additional testing and monitoring. So within quality, we provide the ability to deploy tests, and you can do that in a few forms. You can do it in code through YAML, which is great for deploying testing external to the UI, but as part of your CI/CD workflows. You can also deploy tests without any SQL knowledge at all. So if you wanted to deploy not null, unique, through to relationship tests, you can do this through the UI in a point and click fashion. So I want to test the referential integrity of a particular table across the vendor ID column to check on the foreign key fields. So we can adjust the time zone and schedule all the way through to actually us generatively building the name and the description as well. So within seconds, I'm deploying referential integrity tests without touching SQL. So we can actually take this a step further. To Austin's point, we've actually embedded AI into quality. We've been in production with AI for about a year now, so it's fully tried and tested across about 98% of our customers. And Scout, just to introduce, is our AI agent. So it's our AI data SRE agent. And in this form, it's a test advisor. So Scout's able to agentically profile your data, understand in lineage where this table sits, understand issue history correlation to recommend tests to deploy. And Scout actually can go ahead and also write the SQL for the test, such that as a user, I just need to accept or reject in order to deploy these tests at scale based on Scout's recommendation. But the aim here is just optimizing test coverage. The aim isn't to inundate data teams with noise and alert fatigue. So Scout agentically makes sure that all of the recommended tests will actually yield an actionable alert. If not, we recommend just to delete it. So alert fatigue is something that we look to eradicate and minimize as much as possible. So a test is really only one component of an overall strategy. So if you think of a test as a point in time deterministic assertion, and that's great, but there's also a whole tranche of use cases that are the unknown unknowns. So you need to be able to monitor time series or trend and seasonality patterns over time in order to identify anomalies in non-deterministic data sets. So this is where we can deploy different types of monitors, and we can deploy them at scale based on rules as well. So for example, if you have a tagging catalog that tags all of your source tables, we can deploy a monitor that checks freshness, volume, stale data use cases at scale, but again, tracking trend and seasonality over time. It's very straightforward to add a monitor, again, via rules or individually. We have multiple different types, so volume, custom SQL, freshness, field stats for statistical patterns of data, all the way through to complex use cases like distribution shifts in categorical columns over time. So very quick example. So I've got my taxi company here. I want to monitor the sum of revenue over time. And then I can go through the settings to adjust the partition, the scheduling, segmentation, and so forth. Again, point and click, very straightforward, zero code approach, or we can deploy this in code as well. So it takes just a few seconds to actually bootstrap, and here's one I created earlier. So this is monitoring the sum of revenue over time for my taxi company. But what's really powerful here is the ability to segment based on another column. So I've segmented based on vendor name. So the benefit here is that I can very quickly reduce the mean time to resolution by identifying the exact vendor that's attributed to the revenue drop. As we can see here, it's Curb Mobility. And based on the 30, 60-day trend, there's an anomaly where the revenue's dropped to zero. So this is definitely a serious issue that I want to dig into. So what we've done so far is we've deployed Scout, or programmatically deployed a test and monitor that's flagged an anomaly in the revenue data. We've captured that anomaly. I've been alerted through Slack and Teams, but now I need to actually get to the root cause. And to jump ahead, Scout, our AI data SRE, has gone ahead and triaged this issue for me. So this is a very good segue off into incident management. So this is incident management within quality. And this is where we can see all of the issues that have filtered through into triage that are on my radar within the domain that I own. So just to set the scene before highlighting that Scout use case, traditionally issues come in, they're inevitable. A test could fail from transform or quality. A monitor could flag an anomaly in quality as well. And those issues come into triage within quality itself, but also routed based on rules off into the right team and stakeholders in Slack, Teams, email, PagerDuty, and so forth. So the onus then is on the data practitioner traditionally to get to the root cause as quickly as possible. But you have to check logs, schema, issue history correlation, recent code commits, run your own data analysis, profiling. There's a lot of steps, and having spoken with thousands of data practitioners, it usually takes 30, 40 minutes to get to the root cause. And it's not typically what data practitioners want to be doing in their day. So Q Scout, again, data SRE, Scout's able to pick up issues from triage and run through all of those steps I've just mentioned in a matter of seconds to get to the root cause. And over the last year, we've seen customers save 80, 90% of the heavy lifting, leaving it just to the practitioner to roll back a recent Git commit or similar. So it's a huge ROI and time saving versus the traditional method of a data practitioner having to do all of the legwork. So what we saw earlier was that the revenue had dropped for curb mobility. So I actually set Scout off to triage this issue, and it's able to draw its own conclusion. So just a reminder here, the revenue dropped to 0 for this particular vendor. Scout's able to provide its own conclusion, and it's actually scarily accurate here. And it's also named and shamed the developer, our esteemed colleague, Doug Barrett. So he actually made a commit on the 1st of April. So maybe it's an April Fool's joke, but it's actually a broken join on one of the dimension tables that resulted in every trip being skipped for this particular vendor name. And it was showing up as null, which led to the deficit of 9.1 million rows, impacting our data product. So this is a very succinct but comprehensive summary of exactly what's happened. And Scout was able to do all of these triage steps within a matter of seconds.
And what's really... Sorry, Steve, just quick time check. We got 4 minutes before the webinar shuts us off. I was going to say what's really exciting about this is for customers that are also using Transform, because we know everything about your metadata, the state of your deployments, things like that. This Scout gets even more powerful to be able to pinpoint it was this commit by Doug, this deployment that he did on April 1st. Here's the actual metadata change, which will open up a whole world of use cases about how do we actually just go fix this stuff automatically. And that's where we're going with this integration.
Yeah, exactly that. So I'll wrap up exactly here. But what's really compelling is that it's able to isolate the exact code line where this join condition is causing the concern here, and able to provide a timeline in order to build trust in the conclusion. So we can go ahead, declare an incident or override out as needed as the human in the loop for essentially the last kind of 10% that's required. Or we can actually re-triage. In some cases, there's a few nuances that you need to prompt Scout with additional context. So yeah, in summary, we've defined our data products or anchored data products in observability. We've deployed testing and monitoring in order to optimize test coverage and capture issues across our business critical workflows. And we've also leveraged Scout in order to get to the root cause a lot faster. In this case, it's done, I'd say 99% of the work, and I just need to roll back Doug's last commit in order to resolve. So yeah, hopefully that's brought to life some of the key pillars of data quality within Coalesce Quality. I'm more than happy to answer some questions and go into any of these sections in more detail.
Thanks, Stephen. We've got a couple minutes, so if folks do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We can always spend more time with you guys as well, so feel free to hit either Stephen or I up. But really, in summary, this is really just scratching the surface of Coalesce Quality. We already have a ton of integrations that have been built out with the rest of the Coalesce platform being Transform and Catalog. There's a lot of exciting stuff to come, so we're really looking forward to sharing more over the coming months with you all. But yeah, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat, and appreciate everyone's time here today. One final note, we do have more quality related content coming in the next couple weeks to months. So there will be follow-ons related to this series. We have a really cool use case specifically that's related to FinOps, using quality and observability to actually monitor your cloud platform cost and look for anomalies in warehouse spend that you could attribute to a particular use case or a particular Coalesce job. I'm not doing its full service by just that description, so come back for that one, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone again soon. Got a lot of thanks, no questions. So Stephen, you must have answered every single one that folks were thinking about.
All right, that's the first.
All righty, thanks everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.